Beware, spoilers ahead, you have been warned. As happy as we are that it's finally here, there's one scene in the Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon, that has been described as horrifying and traumatic. After that, we're letting you in on where Gilded Age Season 2 is being filmed. We have exciting news for DC fans and then some. Want to have all the scoops? Then keep watching until the end. First up, the scene in Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon, described as horrifying and traumatic. House of the Dragon, the highly anticipated Game of Thrones prequel, has finally landed in our presence. And what a welcome the first episode was, with over 25 million people watching the pilot episode in the first week after its release. But Beverly Wang, host of ABC Radio's podcast Stop Everything, says there's one scene in particular that could have been handled with a little bit more tact. She sat down with journalist and author Jenna Guillaume and TV and film critic Wenlei Ma to discuss the much too graphic childbirth scene. Wang says that it is the bloodiest and most horrific and traumatic birth scene she has ever witnessed on screen. And Ma agrees. The amount of blood and gore simply wasn't justified. There were better ways to show viewers just how viscerally violent, horrible, and brutal a birth like that would be, without putting the focus on the mess. A shot from the chest up, for example, would have been much better to convey the pain that Emma must have been going through as they perform an emergency cesarean on her. The scene was especially hard for Wang because she needed an emergency cesarean herself, and she noted that others could experience the same. Especially interesting about this sequence was the contrast between two men who are playing war as they joust, while a woman is literally fighting for her death while trying to give life. Still, they could have done better. Next up, these upstate New York filming locations will be seen in The Gilded Age Season 2. Thanks to HBO's The Gilded Age, we've been given an interesting look into turn-of-the-century New York City, allowing us a glimpse of what the lives of the city's moneyed class must have been like. But though the show takes place in Manhattan, a lot of the filming actually took place in historic towns in upstate New York. A lot of old architecture still remains in some of these towns in upstate New York, offering a wonderfully period-appropriate backdrop for Gilded Age. Season 2 of the show is currently in production, and filming will once again take place in towns all over upstate New York. The small city of Cohoes, for example, is going to play an important role in the upcoming season. The Troy Record reported filming in the city's historic Harmony Mills, which was once the world's largest cotton mill complex. The 1874 Cohoes Music Hall was also used for shots, which is a true historical gem. Another very well-preserved city is Albany, which will serve for our Gilded Age New York City Season 2. In August, a 3-block stretch of State Street was used for filming, a historic area filled with many beautiful old homes that border Washington Park. Apparently, there were also scenes shot at the First Presbyterian Church, which dates back to 1884, and a former textile warehouse on the Hudson River. And finally, there was filming on River Street and Franklin Street in Troy, including the 1870 Troy Savings Bank Music Hall. And now, Harley Quinn has been renewed for a 4th season by HBO Max. DC fans take a big, deep breath of relief because HBO Max has decided to renew DC's Harley Quinn for a 4th season. The news comes ahead of the current season's finale, which is scheduled to drop on September 15, 2022. The renewed adult animated series is also getting a new showrunner. Sarah Peters will be taking over the role from Justin Halpern and Patrick Schumacher, the original developers of Harley Quinn, together with Dean Lorey. Peters also wrote on the first season of Harley Quinn and at the moment works on the show as a consulting producer. The fact that HBO Max has decided to renew the series for another series is a great relief to DC fans after the revelation that Batman had been axed despite already having been filmed, and Batman Caped Crusader by Matt Reeves, Bruce Timm, and J.J. Abrams isn't moving forward either. Luckily, we now have a new season of Harley Quinn to look forward to. When the new season is supposed to be released is unknown yet, of course, but we're sure we'll have more news on that soon. Are you happy Harley Quinn has been renewed as well? Next up, the new HBO Max series The Girls on the Bus has cast Carla Gugino. A documentary on the Bishop Sycamore scandal is in the works at HBO, and House of the Dragon co-director Miguel Sapochnik is stepping down. Surely you want to know more. Let's get to it. But first, Carla Gugino has been cast for the new HBO Max series, The Girls on the Bus. Carla Gugino has been tapped to lead opposite Melissa Benoist, Christina Elmore, and Natasha Benham. Together, they're set to star in HBO Max's new political drama series, The Girls on the Bus. The project is a collaboration between HBO HBO Max, Berlanti Productions, and Warner Brothers TV. The Girls on the Bus will mark a reunion between Gugino and Greg Berlanti, with whom she previously worked together on the Berlanti Productions and Warner Brothers TV Limited series Political Animals. The Girls on the Bus will be written and executive produced by Amy Chozick and Julie Plec, and was inspired by a chapter in a book written by Chozick, Chasing Hillary. The story centers around Sadie McCarthy, who will be betrayed by Benoist, a journalist who likes to romanticize Tim Krause's books, Boys on the Bus. McCarthy scrapped her entire life plans for a shot at covering a presidential campaign for the paper of record. She ends up bonding with three female competitors, Gugino's Grace, Benham's Lola, and Elmore's Kimberlyn. Though they have their differences, they end up becoming a sound family, and they have a front row seat to the greatest show in town, the battle for the White House. With the project still being in early production, there's no saying when the series will find its way to us, but we're already excited to watch this one already. Are you? Next up, a Bishop Sycamore football documentary is in the works at HBO. HBO has decided to start production on the upcoming Bishop Sycamore football documentary, which they have aptly titled BS High. The official synopsis teaches us that the documentary will follow the story of the investigation that followed after the Bishop Sycamore Centurions, a presumed high school football team that supposedly came from Columbus, Ohio, took on perennial prep powerhouse IMG Academy. Ironically enough, the news comes on the first-year anniversary of the infamous 58-0 loss of Bishop Sycamore to IMG Academy, which was nationally televised. IT instantly caused fans and audience alike to question the legitimacy of the Bishop Sycamore program and the activities of head coach Roy Johnson. Johnson was fired after the game, who was also under an investigation for fraud and had an active warrant on his name, stemming from a domestic violence case. The team's legitimacy was put under fire shortly after, and things fell apart rather quickly soon after that. And as more and more information emerged in the weeks and months that followed, Bishop Sycamore was ultimately proven to be not only a fake team, but an entirely fake school altogether. And in December of 2021, the Ohio Department of Education officially stated that the Bishop Sycamore scandal was, in fact, a scam. And last but certainly not least, House of the Dragon co-director Miguel Sapochnik is stepping down. Miguel Sapochnik, co-runner and director of HBO's House of the Dragon, has decided the time has come for him to step down. Sapochnik has been working tirelessly on the show for over 3 years now, helping his friend Ryan Condal for months before reluctantly deciding to officially jump on board. Condal will now step up as the sole showrunner of the House of the Dragon, while continuing to work closely with original universe creator George R.R. Martin. In the meantime, Sapochnik will stay on, as he also signed a first-look deal with HBO in order to produce new projects while also remaining an executive producer for the duration of House of the Dragon. But for now, Sapochnik believes that the right decision for him to move on, professionally and personally. It's being said that when Sapochnik did decide to work on the series, he was actually at a Game of Thrones experience concert in Los Angeles with fellow Thrones veteran and writer Brian Cogman. But his reluctance should have warned us. 2 more episodes that were directed by Sapochnik are still coming, episodes 6 and 7. Have you been watching House of the Dragon as well? And that's all we've got for now. What did you think of the birth scene in the first episode of House of the Dragon? Was the gore justified, or do we know by now how brutal a situation like that would have been in times like those? And could the scene have been treated with more dignity? Let us know in the comments what you think. Thanks for watching.